The 110/208 volt distribution panels must adhere to the 6 disconnect rule, even though the incoming service is 2277/480 volts. The 6 disconnect rule, as defined by the National Electrical Code, requires that there be no more than 6 overcurrent devices on a single panel board. This rule applies to all panel boards, regardless of voltage or amperage. The 6 disconnect rule is in place for safety reasons. It helps to prevent electrical overloads and fires by limiting the amount of current that can flow through a single panel board. By limiting the number of overcurrent devices, it reduces the risk of having too many circuits drawing power from the same panel board, which can lead to overheating and electrical problems. Let's delve into the specifics of this rule, its implications, and how it applies in practical scenarios. Firstly, it is essential to understand the definition of a panel board. A panel board is essentially a distribution point for electrical circuits within a building. It receives power from the service entrance and distributes it to various branch circuits through overcurrent protective devices, such as circuit breakers or fuses. These protective devices are crucial because they interrupt the flow of electricity in the event of an overload or short circuit, thereby preventing damage to equipment and reducing the risk of fire. The 6 disconnect rule comes into play when determining how many of these overcurrent devices can be placed within a single panel board. The rule stipulates that there cannot be more than 6 switches or circuit breakers that serve as the main disconnecting means for all of the circuits within that panel board. This limitation is not arbitrary but is rooted in practical considerations related to safety and emergency response. Now consider a scenario where a panel board has more than 6 main disconnecting means. In the event of an electrical emergency, such as a fire or a need to energize the entire panel board quickly, it would become significantly more difficult to locate and operate all the necessary switches or breakers. This delay could have serious consequences, potentially endangering lives and property. By limiting the number of disconnects to 6, the rule ensures that emergency responders or qualified personnel can quickly and efficiently shut down the power to the panel board, minimizing the risk of further damage or injury. It's important to emphasize that the 6 disconnect rule applies irrespective of the voltage or amperage of the panel board. Whether it's a small 120/240 volt panel board in a residential setting or a larger 277/480 volt panel board in a commercial building, the rule remains the same. The primary focus is on the number of disconnecting means, not the electrical capacity of the panel board itself. This universality ensures a consistent standard of safety across different types of electrical installations. One might wonder why the number 6 was chosen specifically. The rationale behind this number is based on a balance between providing sufficient flexibility in circuit design and maintaining a manageable number of disconnects for emergency situations. 6 disconnects generally allow for a reasonable number of branch circuits to be served by a single panel board, while still enabling quick and easy energization when needed. Furthermore, it is crucial to distinguish between the main disconnecting means and branch circuit breakers. The 6 disconnect rule applies only to the main disconnects that control the entire panel board, not to the individual circuit breakers that protect each branch circuit. A panel board can have many more than 6 branch circuit breakers, as long as it has no more than 6 main disconnects. For example, a panel board might have a single main circuit breaker that controls the entire panel board, along with numerous smaller circuit breakers that protect individual lighting circuits, receptacle circuits, or appliance circuits. In this case, the 6 disconnect rule is satisfied because there is only one main disconnecting means. However, if the same panel board were to have 7 or more main circuit breakers, each feeding a separate group of branch circuits, it would violate the 6 disconnect rule. In cases where a panel board requires more than 6 main disconnects, the National Electrical Code typically requires the installation of a main overcurrent protective device ahead of the panel board. This main device serves as the primary disconnecting means for the entire panel board, allowing all circuits to be de-energized with a single operation. The panel board itself can then have multiple branch circuit breakers without violating the 6 disconnect rule, as long as the main overcurrent device provides the primary means of disconnection. It is also worth noting that the 6 disconnect rule does not apply to control panels or motor control centers. These types of electrical equipment are designed for specific purposes and have different requirements for overcurrent protection and disconnection. Control panels, for instance, often contain numerous control devices and relays that are not subject to the 6 disconnect rule. Similarly, motor control centers are designed to control and protect electric motors, and they typically have their own set of rules and regulations regarding disconnection. The 6 disconnect rule is just one of many safety requirements outlined in the National Electrical Code. The NEC is a comprehensive set of standards and guidelines that govern the safe installation and maintenance of electrical systems. It is developed and updated regularly by the National Fire Protection Association, a non-profit organization dedicated to reducing fire and other hazards. Compliance with the NEC is essential for ensuring the safety of people and property, and it is typically enforced by local building codes and electrical inspectors. In addition to the 6 disconnect rule, the NEC covers a wide range of topics, including wiring methods, grounding and bonding, overcurrent protection, and equipment installation. It provides detailed specifications for the types of materials that can be used in electrical systems, the proper methods for installing wiring and equipment, and the requirements for testing and inspection. By following the guidelines in the NEC, electricians and other qualified personnel can ensure that electrical systems are installed and maintained in a safe and reliable manner. When applying the 6 disconnect rule in practice, it is important to carefully consider the design of the electrical system and the needs of the building or facility. Factors such as the size and type of loads being served, the potential for future expansion, and the requirements of local codes and regulations should all be taken into account. In some cases, it may be necessary to install multiple panel boards to accommodate the number of circuits required while still complying with the 6 disconnect rule. In other cases, it may be possible to consolidate circuits or use a different type of overcurrent protection to reduce the number of main disconnects. Ultimately, the goal is to create an electrical system that is both safe and functional, meeting the needs of the users while adhering to all applicable codes and standards. The 6 disconnect rule is a critical safety measure that helps to prevent electrical overloads and fires. By limiting the number of main disconnecting means in a panel board, it ensures that emergency responders or qualified personnel can quickly and easily de-energize the system in the event of an emergency. While the rule may seem simple on the surface, it has significant implications for the design and installation of electrical systems. Therefore, it is essential for electricians and other electrical professionals to have a thorough understanding of the 6 disconnect rule and how it applies in various situations. Let's look into some specific scenarios. Suppose you have a small commercial building with a 120/240 volt service. The building has lighting, receptacles, and a few small appliances. You decide to install a single panel board to serve all of these loads. In this case, you would need to ensure that the panel board has no more than 6 main disconnecting means. You could use a single main circuit breaker to control the entire panel board, or you could use up to 6 smaller circuit breakers, each feeding a separate group of circuits. However, you could not use 7 or more main circuit breakers without violating the 6 disconnect rule. Now, consider a larger commercial building with a 277/480 volt service. This building has a variety of loads, including lighting, HVAC equipment, and machinery. In this case, it may be necessary to install multiple panel boards to accommodate the number of circuits required. Each panel board would still need to comply with the 6 disconnect rule, but you could have multiple panel boards throughout the building, each with its own set of disconnects. Alternatively, you could install a main overcurrent protective device ahead of each panel board. This would allow you to have multiple branch circuit breakers within each panel board without violating the 6 disconnect rule, as long as the main device provides the primary means of disconnection. It is also important to consider the location of the panel boards and disconnects. The NEC requires that panel boards be readily accessible and that the disconnects be clearly labeled. This ensures that emergency responders or qualified personnel can quickly locate and operate the disconnects in the event of an emergency. The disconnects should also be grouped together in a convenient location such as near the panel board itself. This makes it easier to de-energize the entire system quickly and efficiently. In addition to the NEC, local codes and regulations may also have specific requirements for panel boards and disconnects. These requirements can vary depending on the jurisdiction, so it is important to check with the local authorities to ensure that your installation complies with all applicable codes. For example, some jurisdictions may require that all panel boards be equipped with arc fault circuit interrupters, which are designed to protect against electrical fires caused by arcing faults. Others may have specific requirements for the type of wiring that can be used in panel boards, or the way that the panel boards must be grounded and bonded. Compliance with these local codes is essential for ensuring the safety and legality of your electrical installation. The 6 disconnect rule is a fundamental principle of electrical safety that applies to all panel boards, regardless of voltage or amperage. By limiting the number of main disconnecting means, it helps to prevent electrical overloads and fires, and it ensures that emergency responders or qualified personnel can quickly de-energize the system in the event of an emergency. When designing and installing electrical systems, it is essential to have a thorough understanding of the 6 disconnect rule and how it applies in various situations. By following the guidelines in the NEC and complying with local codes and regulations, you can create an electrical system that is both safe and functional, meeting the needs of the users while protecting people and property from electrical hazards. The importance of understanding the NEC in regard to the 6 disconnect rule cannot be overstated. It's not just about adhering to a regulation, but about implementing a safety protocol that can save lives and prevent property damage. Electricians, engineers, and building inspectors must be well versed in the intricacies of the code to ensure compliance. This includes understanding not just the rule itself, but also the exceptions and nuances that may apply in specific circumstances. The NEC is constantly evolving, with updates and revisions being made on a regular basis to reflect new technologies, changing safety standards, and lessons learned from past incidents. It is therefore essential for electrical professionals to stay up to date with the latest version of the code and to participate in continuing education and training to maintain their knowledge and skills. In addition to the technical aspects of the 6 disconnect rule, it is also important to consider the human factor. Electrical safety is not just about following the rules, it is about creating a culture of safety where everyone is aware of the risks and takes responsibility for their own safety and the safety of others. This includes providing adequate training and supervision for electrical workers, promoting open communication about safety concerns, and encouraging a proactive approach to identifying and addressing potential hazards. In conclusion, the 6 disconnect rule is a vital component of electrical safety. It is a simple yet effective measure that helps to prevent electrical overloads and fires, and it ensures that emergency responders or qualified personnel can quickly de-energize the system in the event of an emergency. By understanding and complying with the 6 disconnect rule, and by fostering a culture of safety in the workplace, we can create a safer environment for everyone.